Hey, folks, this is Rabble Rousing Rich Bergeron, and we're going to
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the tornado.
Rabble Rousing.
You can call me Tony the Greek.
Tony the Greek.
And second, Tom has it with a red-hot crystal ball. Hot in more ways than one. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So, I guess we'll jump right into it then, guys.
Big fight
before the air.
Over the weekend. We couldn't wait to talk about it. We had to get on the show to do it. But basically, Lomachenko versus Haney was much more of a tactical fight than I expected it to be. I expected that if Loma had any chance to win, he'd have to knock him out. But it developed into a little bit of a pitcher's duel, close fight. Some people said it wasn't close, but I thought it was. One of the judges said it wasn't close, and there's like a big discrepancy of the 10th round scoring by that judge. I don't have his name offhand, but very controversial scoring on a round that Lomachenko clearly won. Scored it for Haney. But anyway, the big problem is it was a crowd situation. The crowd thought Lomachenko won. Most of the people watching thought Lomachenko won. Shakur Stevenson told Haney that, and everybody in attendance said Lomachenko won. Everybody watched on ESPN pay-per-view. But it seemed like the only one that really didn't think he won was Haney. I don't know. But the judges, yeah, obviously. But there's that thing, hometown cooking, they call it. Bob Arum is 80-something years old. He's been in the game forever. And before I let you guys get loose on this, it really reminds me of the time. It wasn't as egregious, but the time Manny Pacquiao versus Timothy Bradley, and Timothy Bradley came to the press conference with the rematch ticket.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I remember
that. That was like a fix from the beginning, and they teased us about it and threw it in our faces, and we had to eat it anyway. So they ended up doing the rematch, and of course Pacquiao won. But Pacquiao separated from Bob Arum not long after that. And I actually got fired from Bleacher Report for the article that I put out. I kept insisting that they put the 6/9 was the date of the fight. It was June 9th. It's like, you got to put 6/9 in there. Like, you knew somebody was getting screwed because of the date of the fight. It was 6/9. So I was at Bleacher Report, like when the editors could come in and edit your stuff, and then you could go back in and finalize it. So I went back in and I finalized it, and I put it back in because they took it out. They took the sophomoric joke, they called it, out. Yeah, I said something like I started it right off. I started it right off with, like, the date was 6/9, so you knew somebody was getting screwed. Lomachenko, yeah, tough loss for him. I saw a video today of him crying in the locker room, literally, like, having himself a good man cry. And he earned it. He definitely earned it. But just there's that old saying: you got to take it from the champ. And
did you read what Iceman John Scully said about that?
I did. He thinks it's bullshit. I think it's bullshit to an extent too. But it's like, in for a penny, in for a pound. Like, it's an old cliche. People repeat it. It's nobody really accepts the meaning of it. It's just like always in the back of your head. Like,
what did John say about it? Well, he basically said, that's an outdated saying. Gotta take it from the champ. So it's saying, like, back in the day when they first, that saying first came out, was when, these were fights that basically that ended in a knockout. They didn't go to a decision. It ended until somebody couldn't stand anymore. So we're talking about over 100 years ago. And so if two guys go in there and and one of them goes in as the champion, basically you knock him out to be the champion. That's what it is. You are taking it from the champion. You're not going out there and outboxing the champion and then putting it in the hands of three, and I use air quotes, impartial observers to determine that you have won. You have to render him unconscious, basically. And then you are then the champion. So you are taking it from him. So I think Iceman was in a debate with Steve Cunningham, former cruiserweight champ out of Philadelphia, because he was even saying, like, you say this term, but it's an outdated term. It's a term from, a century ago.
Yeah.
Where there was no, decisions. It was to win the fight, you knocked out the champion. And he was saying, so basically what you're saying, he goes, and one of his arguments was, so you're telling me if a round is close, you have to score it for the champion because he's the champion? He goes, that's bullshit.
Yeah, that was a big
if a round is close, you give it to who you think won the round, not because, so-and-so's champion, he automatically gets this close round.
No, I don't ever score my fights, Tony, but I know you'd like to score fights. Did you score it?
No, I did not get to see this one live. I had a very early and long day Saturday. So I would have had to have ingested myself with a near fatal amount of caffeine to stay awake that long.
So you do drink Death Wish coffee.
What would you say?
You do drink Death Wish coffee.
Yes, I do. I would have needed maybe a gallon of it. Saturday, I had my fundraiser Saturday morning, and then my dad was, our one friend was helping him do some work at the house. So I'm figuring I'm not going to get back to my fundraiser till 1, 2 o'clock, and I'm figuring they're going to be long done. I ended up helping them till almost 7:30 that night.
Oh yeah.
Because
awesome.
My dad said it was a Murphy's Law kind of day. So everything that could go wrong was going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time we all had dinner, they went home. I sat on the couch and I was like, maybe I'll try to track it on my phone. I wouldn't even made it to the first round.
Mm-hmm.
So when I speak about this, I'm basically reading what everybody has written and my personal knowledge of both fighters. Now, saying that, Lomachenko, if you go back to some of the fights where either he's lost or he's, struggled a little bit, I'll go back to the Teofimo Lopez fight. He gave away the first 6 rounds because he was, as they call, processing. We talked about this last week. He has the habit, he'll go out there, he'll process. He'll try to say, okay, what is this guy doing and what can I do to, figure him out and, capitalize on his mistakes or his patterns. And then sometimes he gives away too much early trying to do that.
Right.
So I know that they're saying Haney in the beginning, some of the rounds were close, but they were shading towards Haney. In the second half, it was a lot of the rounds were shading towards Lomachenko, and they said Lomachenko hurt him in the 11th, and he did not capitalize on it.
A couple times he had him hurt. And the hesitancy is what pissed me off more than anything, because, when Lomachenko waded in, he was landing 2 or 3 shots to every 5, but he was throwing. He was throwing way faster, and he was landing more than Haney. Haney was not able to hurt him one time that I saw. But what keyed me in last week when we talked about this, I said there's got to be 2 types of fights. If Haney wins, he's got to use every inch of the ring, which he did. He absolutely did. Or Lomachenko was going to have to push him into the corners. He was going to have to push him against the ropes. So I was watching for that. I was watching for exactly both those things to happen. And Lomachenko had his first chance to back Haney into a corner, popped him with a couple shots, pushed him towards that direction, and then backed up and reset. What are you doing? This is step 1 of the plan to beat Haney. You push him into the corner. You don't let him back out.
I remember back in the day when I would, box a lot at Lock Haven with Dr. Cox and Coach Cooper. I remember a lot of times Coop would yell at me because I was a guy that liked to use a lot of momentum going forward.
Yeah.
So I would, I would be stepping to my left, using a very hard jab to jab with my opponent, and then forcing my way inside like that. And there were sometimes he'd say, you get inside, and then you back up. He's like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, why are you backing up like that? Because you're doing all that work to get in there, and then you're like backing away. It's almost like you're starting over again.
Yes.
And he was right, because sometimes
Haney was making him reset 100 times.
Close, but then part of the strategy was the momentum of going forward. Like once you got there, it's like you were almost smothering yourself. So you set the table and didn't eat. They were going to get there, and now you're here. Yeah. There was some of that, but I think it was close. I'll concede that. But there's a saying in marketing: under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
Don't do it where you over promise and under deliver. Now remember what Haney said. He's going to humiliate him. He's going to destroy his life. He'll never fight again. He'll destroy his career. On and on and on and on. Well, I don't think that happened. And the fact that it was close, and you heard the fans, and Haney's dad got hit with a bottle of urine. I don't know if you guys know. Yeah.
Oh,
someone pissed into a bottle. And what the heck is that?
Poor guy.
Bottle of urine, But I mean, the thing is, let's look at the criminal justice system. Now, if a defendant pleads guilty, the judge is probably going to take his past into consideration, I would think,
Yeah.
And anyone can make a mistake. So for the most part, unless a first-time criminal has done something horrendous, the judge is probably going to say, all right, you made a mistake, but we're going to show you some leniency. We don't want to see you back here. Now, contrast that to the guy who's on his 23rd time in front of the same judge. It's going to be a little different. My point being, after the fight, and we had the round table, and the staff was doing a Mexican hat dance here on that one to try to just come up with to justify everything. And I agreed with a lot of what all of them said, that the one thing is the fans have seen this again and 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 again, and it ruined an exciting fight.
Yeah.
It ruined it. And we've seen this so many times, and the whole thing, I think
another
that
thing
was what
Scully said too is the judges
about it, because it was an exciting fight, and it just had to be kids. Then we find out about 2 days before the fight with the whole Aram thing.
Oh
Yeah.
Well, the judges too. Scully said this the other day in another post. The judges have the worst seat in the house. Why is that?
I saw that. Yeah.
That's kind of stupid. Because people see it at home and they're like, boom, different results. But you're looking up through the ropes. How are you going to score a fight like that?
Well, and then another thing too, that Loma's team tried to get Moretti off. They petitioned, we don't want him.
Yeah.
And you wonder if there was some payback there, because Loma's team knew what would happen with Dave Moretti.
Yeah. Well, Bob Arum is a slimy dude. Think of how many of the biggest fighters left Bob Arum because he's a slimy dude. And he's very powerful. Not only does he own one of the biggest promotions in boxing, but he owns a gigantic library of footage. I remember a couple of years ago we were talking about him trying to sell Top Rank. Nobody's going to buy it. I don't have enough money for what he wants for it, but so he's going to die running it. But yeah, Bob Arum, man, he's got a history. Look into his history. Check his check his rap sheet. It's a bad one.
Well, I'd say this much: Haney has ascended now.
Yeah.
He's maybe the most hated figure in this sport, and he seems to relish it. He seems to welcome it.
Yeah,
so,
except he got
and
fined.
The fact that he took off,
Did you hear he got fined on the push?
I mean, normally it's traditional to meet your hopefully future opponent, call him out, do some trash talk, and build the game. You don't scamper out.
Right.
You know, and dodge the booze and the bottles of urine thrown at you. You know, I mean, he should have waited. Then Shakur comes up, said Loma won.
Yeah.
You know, and so I predict Haney's going to have to skedaddle up to 140.
Haney got fined more than my house sold for pushing Lomachenko too at the press conference.
Yeah, well, that was a class act. So he's probably going to try to avoid Shakur and Tank Davis for his own good, and see if he can get a little better opposition at 140, a little more, you know. We'll see how that goes.
Shakur Stevenson reminded me of that meme with the guy behind the tree, you know, putting his hands together, just waiting to pounce on that.
Right.
Yeah. Just like ready. He's ready to go in there right now against him.
I don't know what Tank Davis has said about it, but I didn't catch any interviews from him. But yeah, Shakur's just all set and ready to go, and I just thought it was pretty classist, just walking away, not even trying to build a gate for it, which tells me he doesn't want any part of it.
The craziest part for me was watching what Lomachenko did and knowing that probably 10 to 15 more punches per round thrown, never mind how many landed. Like, he could have landed 3 of those 10 to 15. But if he had just thrown 10 to 15 more punches per round, he would have won that entire fight.
Well, and maybe old man aging's catching up to him.
Yeah.
He is a smaller guy, and, you know, in the smaller divisions.
Well, no, I think whoever is training him is training him to be too smart, too tactical. When he brawls well, he's one of the best brawlers in the history of boxing, I think. You know, when you look at some of his toughest fights, he brawls. He wins when he brawls. And he was so hesitant the other night. I think that's the big word, big H word of this one. He was hesitant. And he was doing the footwork thing. He was getting the angles. But he just continuously would back up and reset. Even when he had Haney hurt, he never really attacked, never really came and stood in the pocket and just kept going and bowled him against the ropes. I don't even think Haney's back touched the ropes unless he wanted it to the entire fight. And Lomachenko, instead of using his footwork to trap him in a corner or push him against the ropes and leave him no option but to be against the ropes for an attack, he always let him off and was like, all right, let me get back in there again. Like, you were just in there. He let him back out. I don't know. Just was baffled by that. I thought Lomachenko had the ability. Obviously, he had the power to rock Haney, and I think Loma figured out, like, within the first 2 rounds that nothing Haney could throw at him was going to rattle him. You know, he might have had, like, a hesitant step or two after a couple punches, but, like, nothing. I don't think he made him woozy, gave him weak legs through the entire fight. Like, he had a couple little bruises on his face, but I don't think he was really, like, rocked at all. But Haney was definitely close a couple times to, you know, at least taking a knee. I don't know about going down, but he was shook up. And a couple times he went back to the corner and he looked like shell-shocked.
Right. You could just, you know, the old saying about proof is in the eyes.
And suddenly,
I've been watching this stuff enough decades. If I don't have it figured out by now, I should just commit Kareem. And I could see his body language, his expression. He was confused. He was tired. He was kind of shocked.
His dad was asking him, like, how do you feel? Like, all of a sudden, in the later rounds, he kept asking him that because he was concerned for his health, I think, at that point. He's like, man, this guy's testing you. So it was a great test for Haney. Like, what he learned from it, I don't know, because he does come off like a spoiled brat at this point, you know.
What's he going to do different?
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. What can he do different? He is what he is. And, you know, I mean, I would assume that against Tank or Shakur, they'll realize this can't go the distance.
Right. So, the thing that pissed me off the most about the whole thing is that Lomachenko just sat there and said he didn't want to talk about it after the fight. Like, I can understand saying, "Listen, I got to watch the footage. I got to see how real close it is." You know, I don't have much to say about it, but like to just sit there and be like, "I don't think we should talk about it at all." It's like,
But,
what the fuck
you
is
know,
this?
if I'd have been in his shoes, I'd have been fined my whole purse probably. I
Yeah.
would have started my rampage. Yeah.
It's like, what is this?
Ongoing
Is he
criminal
is he in
enterprise.
on
Why am
it?
I not
Like,
surprised?
did he know this was going to
You
be
know,
the result? Did he get told to fucking lay off him? Like, what is going on? Is this a Ukrainian money laundering situation? Like, what the fuck? That's what
well,
pissed me off
and you
more
know,
than
I
anything.
haven't heard Teddy's analysis or comments yet about it, but I understand he did say something about it. He's the commissioner, and he said this about many fights.
Yeah.
That he would bring Moretti in there Monday morning and watch that 10th round.
Yeah, exactly.
And have Moretti explain why in the world did he give that to Haney.
Yeah.
And go from there. But you know that's not going to happen.
No.
You know that's not going to happen.
There's really no reform. It's like, you know, with the justice system, same shit, you know, like there's no accountability for mistakes.
Yeah.
So mistakes just keep happening. I saw a good meme today. It said, I learned from all the mistakes I made, so I'm going to keep making them. So I can learn some more. Anyway, so Lomachenko obviously has contested it too. I don't know where that's going to go either. But
you know, I don't think that goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. It looks weak. It looks pathetic. It's never worked. It never will. It is Las Vegas. Come on. Yeah, it does. I just think it looks pathetic to me.
We had another fight.
I mean, was it a close fight? Yes. Was it the worst decision in history? Absolutely not. I mean, there were much bigger fights out there that were much more controversial that a legitimate protest could have been made, and it still wouldn't have changed it. You're talking fights like Whitaker-Chavez. You're talking fights like the one you mentioned earlier, the first Pacquiao-Bradley fight, which I think I had Pacquiao winning 11 of the 12 rounds. You had Whitaker winning easily 9 of the 12 rounds. Those fights, which were not just there were close rounds that could go either way, these fights were whitewashes. And Lewis Holyfield won. Like the one round, I think Holyfield landed 3 punches. I think it was the 6th round. The one judge gave it to him. They're like, how? Canelo beating Triple G 10-2. Yeah. Well, I think that was Adelaide Bird, I think. I remember right. Yeah. You don't hear about her much.
Maybe.
C.J. Roth with Mayweather fight when he gave her the
Yeah, it was not the only close fight of the weekend, even though it wasn't, as close as it was supposed to be on the scorecards. Over in Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, Chantel Cameron upset Katie Taylor with a majority decision. And it was a draw on one card and 96-94 on the other two. The fans had it 96-94 too. So exactly the same for Chantel Cameron. I don't know how they do the fan vote, but that's pretty peculiar. I mean, it must have been exactly how. Well, I guess 2 rounds, it's easier to score. I mean, 2 minutes, 2-minute rounds.
You know, I know on the one a couple years ago, I think they were doing a lot of it on ESPN, especially during the pandemic, to really keep fan interest when there was fights with no crowd, no audience, so it was hard to get that electricity vibe. They were having fans, like you could log on and you could vote during the rounds, or you could do like a live chat and you could see yourself like on TV, not your picture, but like you could see your name scrolling across, like what you were saying. Then each round, like, fans, you could log in and be like, oh, I thought, Katie Taylor won this round. And then it would have a percentage, like, okay, of this round, like 63% thought this person won and 37% thought this person won.
Well then. So where does Lomachenko go from here? Is the question. I think
Yeah,
everybody.
that is that's a tough one. I mean, how do you regroup from this?
Yeah.
Because he's not really a big puncher, and
I'd say he never
I don't
fights
know.
in Vegas again.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
Well,
fights in
I mean,
Europe.
I guess they're going to clamor for a rematch, but I don't think that's going to happen.
It's sad.
And
That's sad because there should be
what
one.
can he do? Remember, when you're the former champion, you don't get cheap dates.
Right.
I mean, you know, because every up and comer wants your head on a platter in the trophy room. I mean, and it's going to be tough. I mean, he's not going to get any easy fights for the foreseeable future, unless he's 50 and still fighting, maybe. But you know, so that's a good question.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tony?
Well, I think what you have to look at here is, like you were saying, what is the level of risk versus reward? So you get a lot of these young up-and-coming challengers, and you're right, that is a big name to put on your ledger as you're climbing the ranks and trying to get a title shot. Now, the question is the risk worth the reward? Because, this is not like it was, 60, 70, 80 years ago, where to get those top fights, you had to fight the top contenders. There was one champion. There was one set of rankings. You couldn't sit there and say, well, you know what? If I want to get a shot at the WBC belt, I got to fight, a dangerous opponent and fight a dangerous champion. I can maybe get an easier sanctioning and fight a lesser champion. It's that thing. That's the way it is right now, and I think that's what really hurts it. So you're gonna have your contenders out there, and you're gonna have the management team. It's not going to be as much the fighter. It's going to be the manager out there, and they're going to say, you know what? There's a path right here, and we can get that name on our ledger, but is that too dangerous of a fight? I got a guy with an undefeated record, and he's ranked third in the world. One more fight, he gets a title fight. Do I risk it against the guy that is awkward? He's a tough puzzle to figure out sometimes. He can make you look bad. Not that he can just beat you, but he can make you look bad.
Right.
It's like, do you take that risk? Is the reward worth the risk?
Right. Well, he did say he was going to take some time off and go back to Ukraine there. So probably going to reflect on what's next.
I think he's going to have to keep fighting though, because then Haney would have bragging rights that he retired him, and who that would be awful.
Yeah.
Unless he could just back Haney into a corner and keep demanding a rematch, and Haney would not want to give him one. Maybe he could retire with some dignity then. But I just don't think he could walk away now and give Haney that satisfaction.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely still got it. There's no question. It's just a matter of maybe he needs a different type of trainer to come in and teach him how to use that footwork and the ability to move around the ring to a more of an aggressive advantage rather than a defensive advantage, because he seemed like he was waiting to counter. WTC. I'm going to coin the acronym. Waiting to counter.
Just again, one of my favorite phrases. When the fighter gets to a certain point, it's like people. You get to a certain age, you pretty much are what you are.
Yeah.
I mean, how much is he going to evolve at this stage with 2 decades of experience under his belt?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm open-minded to it, but it's going to be awful tough for him to change his styles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he put on a great show, that's for sure. I just felt like he definitely let Haney off the hook a little too much, and he underestimated his ability to get in close with him. With Haney, you think about it, his advantage is his reach. And he did win the fight with his jab, just like I said he was going to have to do. Very much, I mean, that was probably the most landed punch on his part. And I know Lomachenko outlanded him over the entire fight, but when the ref and the judges, the ref was actually giving Haney shit, warning him for a bunch of stuff. A lot of holding was going on too. We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah, and then of course Haney set the table saying Loma's a dirty fighter.
Yeah.
We talk about a little projection here, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was getting hit with a lot of body shots too early, Lomachenko. Haney did say that before the fight. That was the plan, that they were gonna, go and go after his body. But then when Lomachenko was throwing his own late in the fight, they were landing, but he didn't throw them at all in the first half of the fight. But when he gave Haney some of his own medicine, Haney was like, "Oh, I don't want that shit." But that's the whole purpose of getting the guy in the corner up against the ropes, so you can negate the freaking hold. You can just bull him up there and throw punches to the body. Throw those body shots.
But Rich, what you're saying, this is grade school stuff. Who doesn't know that? And if he didn't do it, what is wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden he's going to become a devastating, Mickey Ward left hook to the liver guy. Why did he? It's a good point that he didn't do it. Yeah. And who do you blame, Kim? The corner? What's going to be fixed?
I don't know. I don't know if it was just his natural style that brought him into that type of fight, or whether, I think he's trained by his father. He's trained by his father too, isn't he?
Yes.
Lomachenko. So yeah, it might be one of those situations where sometimes it's good for your father to be in your corner, and sometimes it's bad. Remember, we had that guy on the show who was talking about that, and he was an MMA fighter, and he goes, "The good thing is, we're always working on stuff. We're always talking about it. But the bad thing is, like, it never ends. You're always talking about it. It's like a double-edged sword, So
yeah,
maybe they overanalyze it.
For the most part, it's a bad idea. I mean, a father's job is to protect his son from danger. And sometimes you're in the corner, you got to send your guy into danger.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's hard to be critical. It's hard to be. Well, look at Haney's dad saying how he was sure he had the fight won unless Haney's dad do something.
Yeah.
And talking to Moretti, and knew that the fix was, and I don't think that happened. But as a rule, it's just tough.
Right.
I mean, you look at a lot of those father-son teams, and it's just.
Well, with the 2 days before the fight and the Bob Arum thing, who knows if Haney's camp wasn't told, just keep it close. You'll win. Just make sure it's close. You'll guaranteed you get the win. Just make the final bell and don't get knocked out or knocked down, and keep it close. Like, sometimes you fight better knowing that there's like a guaranteed outcome, I would think. But I don't even know if they would risk that. They're just, it'd probably be all Arum doing it, because I'm sure there's 6 ways to Sunday to make money off that kind of thing.
I don't think it's blatant. I think it's just implied. You want to keep working, you know who the house guy is, you know where the power's at. You want to keep your job?
Yeah.
I don't think there's, tons of cash, in a briefcase. I don't think it's that crude. I think maybe it was in the old days. Or, threats, we're going to kill you. I don't think it's like that now. Yeah. But I just think there's an implication. You know what you need to do if you want to keep your position.
Yeah. We'll see Moretti moving into his new mansion next week.
Well, then I'd be wrong. Then I would be wrong, and I'd be happy to be wrong. But he's 78 years old. And I'm one to talk about geezers, but, it gets to a certain point.
Yeah.
Are you blind, corrupt, or just senile? What is it?
Yeah.
How is this possible? And it's an ongoing pattern with him. His name comes up again and again and again.
Enough. You know what I think a lot of it is also, Tom? It's like, I remember, being at Lock Haven, and listening to Dr. Cox. And, Dr. Cox was in when I was there, probably, he just died, he was 89. I've been out of there for 20-some years, so he was in his 60s, I guess. He looked like he was older, because he had the white hair and all that, So he would say about, like, some of these older judges, some of them look like they're just falling asleep at the table. and he would say, he goes, and then he would even say, but he would do it to make a point, and he would do it to give some humor at the same time, but he'd do it to make a valid point. He likes, and then he goes, sometimes, and he does it in his voice, and if I don't do it in his voice, I'm not doing him justice. He's like, all right, guys, now listen. But sometimes I gotta judge a fight, and the fight's not any good. I'm out there, and I'm, these two guys they're watching paint dry. I'm out there scanning the crowd, looking for the pretty girls. I'm looking at people watching, and then oh my God, it's 10 seconds going around. I better score for somebody. Whoever finishes that round better, that's who I'm going to score for. Or if it's the end of the fight and it's real close, and I have it because in college boxing, what would happen is like if you fought 3 rounds and we were on the 20-point must system. So say Rich and I are fighting, and I shade him the first round 2019, and it's close. Then he beats me like 2019, and then or he gets a real good next round on me. It's like 2018, and then the next round's close again, but he got me 2019. And now he's same on the cards, 57-57. Well, who does he go with? We both have the same number of scored points. And he would say, and he's honest with us too, he goes, I would see who was in better shape, who conducted themselves better at the end of the fight. He goes, I would look up, and he goes, if this one guy's hanging in his corner, draped over the ropes, gasping for air, and the other guy's bouncing around the ring, smiling, fist pumping, like he won. In my eyes, that's who I scored for. Very good point. You figure, as they're getting older, maybe they don't have that attention span like they used to. They maybe don't have the eyesight like they used to. So now they're sitting there and they're like, oh shit, I totally spaced out for 3 minutes because I was thinking about my milk of magnesia.
But then again, maybe they don't have a conscience because you put your life on the line for this. This is not something that you just do on a whim as far as being a fighter. You put your life into your training, and it can destroy. You can destroy someone as a person over this.
Yes, and I agree with you 150%, and I will tell you why. And now we are talking about the highest level, world champion pay-per-view title fights, the highest level of boxing. I can take you back to 20-some years ago in the amateur level. Because you get a fighter that's doing so well, and then a bad decision happens. You only get 3 rounds in those days. Bad decision happens, and then it's like, well, they can start a snowball effect. Then you get guys that use it as motivation. Roy Jones.
Yeah, it just depends, I guess. But I would think. I would never care what my personal views are on something. It's just my love of the sport is bigger than any of my personal feelings, and I would feel obligated. I don't care what. I'm going to be fair and impartial.
Yeah, and you know what? I've had to judge fights with guys that I've trained and guys that were friends of mine, and and the one guy, he's still a very good friend of mine. And this fight, I wasn't judging. I was ringing him. And I told him after the fight, I said, you know what? Yeah, you scored that great knockdown in the 3rd round. And you all but had him out. But you lost the fight. Because you don't get a 10-8 round. Then you get however it was scored. And even if it was a 10-8 round, I said, the guy was beating you pretty handily the 1st and 2nd round because you weren't aggressive. He was bringing the fight to you and you were backing up like you were scared. And then he walked into your right hand and you dropped him, and then you were like, oh shit, yeah, I can take this guy, I can beat this guy. But by the time you got that confidence, you had already lost the fight. Now, and that's being fair and impartial. On the other hand, the one I was saying, and this is my personal experience, this is me. So I can tell you exactly how I felt, I can tell you what was going through my mind, and I can tell you, I still think about it almost daily for 20-some years. Rich and I's old buddy, Jesse Bond, I have nothing against him. I didn't like his fighting style, and he was hard to fight because he was awkward, and he had 6 arms, and he liked to clinch. But he was a nice guy. I got along with him. I used to talk to him. I used to joke with him. and and I respected him as a person. Now we fought.
I owe him an elbow. That's all I have to say.
In Garrett Navy, we fought in the afternoon. It wasn't that good of a fight. My hands were still a little sore from the previous week out in Reno, slamming off Brian Kerr's cement head. So I used a body attack and a lot of boxing. I boxed more than I normally would. I would let him come towards me, and I would step in. I'd hit to the body, and I would just keep circling. And I'd circle to my left, and I would just attack the body because he liked to fight in close, and you're fighting in my range. I win the fight. I get the decision. I forget if it was a unanimous or a split. So now a few weeks later, we're getting ready, and we're going to fight in the regionals. Now, the prevailing thought is I was the returning All-American, but at 172. Now I was fighting at 185. So they're like, yeah, he's a returning All-American, but not at that weight class, so he shouldn't get the bye. So now they draw it out of a hat, and our buddy Michael Jordan gets the bye. So I'm going to fight Jesse the first night. So I'm already a little pissy about that, but I'm okay. I'm going to take care of business again. Now they're announcing the judges, and the one judge, they said, okay, we're going to do a Penn State judge, a Lock Haven judge, and a neutral judge. I'm like, well, you're already making it sound fishy. Because the one judge, I said, I don't want him judging my fight. He was old. He was about 90. And he would get up and cheer in the middle of a fight with the Penn State guy. I've had fights of mine where I won 4-1 on the cards. The one was him. And I lost every round.
Mm.
So I go into the fight saying, I don't want him judging my fight. They're like, well, Tony, come on. You can't tell. You don't have that authority. And I said, shit. He comes up to me before the fight and he said, good luck tonight. I'm like, yeah, I know. Thank you. He was like, I hope you knock him out. And he smiles at me.
Uh-huh.
He said, I'm like, yeah, listen. And I said to him, well, thank you. I said, he's a tough guy. I'm going to do my best. And he just smiles again and walks away. And I'm like, all right, now I know I'm already down on the one card. Now we fight. I don't have a good first round. Jesse wins the first round. Second round, I just keep grinding away. And I can see him wilting. And I can feel it. And I'm like, all right, third round, I got him. Third round comes, and I'm really taking it to him. And, he went down, like, willingly. He, took a knee. And he gets up. I don't know if they gave him a count or not, but definitely, he had me in a clinch, and he went down. I forget if they gave him the count, but I thought they did. So now he goes to the cards, and winning out of the blue corner, and I'm like, what the fuck? Even the referee's holding his hand up, going, like, what the fuck? I have a still photo. And Homer comes up to me. The guy's name's Homer Boone. He goes, man, whatever. And I'm like, dude, get out of my face, you asshole. I look at his card. He had him winning every round. Now, that night, I think my season's over. I think I'm done. I go out to the bar. I'm partying. I end up falling through a broken door that got smashed. I get torn up. Now they're like, oh, Tone, guess what? There's a spot in the Nationals for you. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Now, I had to try to train. I got a sliced open hand that I had glued shut.
Oh,
I got big swollen knee from when I fell, and I'm like, how am I going to fight this guy? And I went into that card at the Nationals, and I fought hard, but I wasn't in it like I would have been if I would have went in there saying I wasn't fucked already going into this.
Yeah.
And good point. And then you know what happened after that? I started drinking a lot, and then I tore ligaments in my thumb, goofing off the next semester because I had to kill time before I graduated, and I couldn't box anymore. And it was like my eligibility's up, and I had torn ligaments, and that effectively, really, in hindsight, ended my career because every time I would come back from that, and I would start to get a little bit of momentum, something would happen, and it would be like, oh, wait, this fight's going to fall through. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. I don't care no more. And I'd be right back in the bar.
Yeah, because if you're not in fifth gear, why bother?
Alcohol is a hell of a drug.
You can't just have this as a hobby. You're going to compete. It's all encompassing. You got to explain that to people. It's the food you eat. It's a full-time thing. You can't be half in. You got to be all in.
Yeah.
Hey, they were go home, and people say to me, they're like, why that last semester in school did you go party so hard and drink so much? And I said, you know why? Because for 4 years, hey, granted, there were times, especially when the season was over, I'd go out with my buddies and we'd go to parties and we'd have a good time. But there were other times that my friends would be at a party and I'd be upstairs, with the door locked and basically headphones on just so I wouldn't, hear all the commotion going on downstairs. And there were times my friends say, hey, we're all going out on dates tonight. Hey, we're all going out to whatever. We're all going out to dinner. And I'm like, sorry, guys, I got to make weight tomorrow. So did I sacrifice a lot? Yeah. Was it worth it? Absolutely. And sometimes going back and I'm like, man, I wish I could have had that, slapped myself in the face and said, you know what, get over it and just go one more time and see what happens. And then, but maybe it happened for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had some drinking semesters myself. I got all my drinking out of me in college. Actually, I had so much drinking fun. I was at my limit. I said that's enough. I did a little bit of drinking in my 20s, but glad I never became a alcoholic like a bunch of my family members have over the years. Oh man. But anyway.
So on a more pleasant topic, what did you guys think of my podcast interview last week?
That was awesome, actually.
Like you said, Tony, you are made to be in front of a camera. Yeah. Enough said. No self-doubt. No nerves, no nothing. You're a natural.
Yeah, that guy definitely looks like Sylvester for sure, too.
Doesn't he?
Oh, man. It's kind of funny.
What was cool about it was because he's met Sly so many times. He does Rocky tours. We'll take him down to Mighty Mix Jam. We'll take him, especially, and people come from, all over the country and all over the world to go on his tour.
Yeah.
And he, like you said, he'll take him in, a van to all these places. And he's been endorsed by Sylvester Stallone himself. So when he posted that he was having me on, he posted some photos. Sly actually liked it on Instagram from his blue checkmark official page. And I'm like, and this guy Mike told me, he goes, dude, you are now on his radar, which is kind of cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's that's like you're one of the last guys you got to meet now, right?
Yeah.
Sylvester.
I said I want to make a video of all just different celebrities I've met. Boxers,
yeah,
Eagles players, Phillies players, actors, musicians, just people. And the rules are, and these are my rules, I have to have a photo with them. Because I have a picture of Sly on the set of Rocky Balboa. The one day I was an unpaid extra on the Italian market team. He was walking by, and I threw my digital camera up, and I got a picture of him.
Nice.
But I don't have a picture with him.
Right.
My big three were Vinny Paz, who I met in 2008, and then we got him on the show. Yeah. And I've met him several times since. Hulk Hogan, who I've now gotten a few times. And Sly. I mean, I got Carl Weathers, I got Burt Young, this guy crosses over the boxing and the Rocky categories, Antonio Tarver.
Yeah. Well, they stole the frickin' franchise from him. You should go to him, write him a letter, and be like, let's start our own. I'll be the white Apollo Creed. I'll be the white Apollo Creed storyline.
Right. I had taken yesterday off work. I went down to the Phillies game. Because my dad and I try to go to the home opener every year. And this year, and I make everything into humor. The day the single game seats went on sale, I had a one-on-one Zoom call for work. So if it's a group meeting, I can kind of zone out, not pay attention, and order my tickets. When it's one-on-one, you don't have that option. So I'm like, shit. So I get off the call, and I'm like, all right, let me log on for the home opener. They're like, it's sold out. But it's available if you buy a 3-pack of tickets. You have to buy 3 games. Okay, no problem. So I go to buy them, and they were trying to put me in the expensive seats. And I'm like, no, this doesn't happen. I don't go to seats, so why would I want expensive? I want cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So I called the ticket office, and the ticket office is like, oh, you're the Uncle Sam guy. Yeah, we can hook you up. Great. So I get yesterday's game. And I go down there, and I was telling people, I'm like, when I'm walking, the back of my shirt says Tornado, because that's the easiest way people can get a hold of me. I'm walking away, and someone's like, yo, Tornado. I know to turn around. If I hear, hey, you, Uncle Sam, if it's a crowded arena and it's loud, I might not pick up Uncle Sam. I usually don't pick up Apollo Creed. I do sometimes. As I said on this show last week, guys will come up to me when they're drunk and like, you know who you look like? And I'm like, Spider Rico? They're like, no. I'm like, oh. Mason Dixon? I don't know. Tommy Gunn? I don't know. You tell me. And one guy's like, I paid a fool. I had to stop him. I was like, yo, bro. I'm like, right franchise, wrong character.
Wrong color. Anyway, so we had some other fights too on that Katie Taylor undercard. I probably, geez, if we could bet on it, I probably could have made money on this one guy. Jose Felix came in 39-6-1, lost 3 of his last 6, and he beat the undefeated Gary Cully, who is 16-0 at lightweight. And we had Dennis Hogan losing to James Metcalf. It wasn't really much of an upset. Metcalf had a little bit of record, 24-2 to Hogan's 31-4-1. Hogan's had a little bit more experience, but that was a unanimous decision win for Metcalf, and he gets the IBO World Super Welterweight title. The Taylor fight was for all the marbles. IBF, WBO, WBA, WBC, and WBO. Those go to Cameron. Crazy stuff. Okay, what else we had last week? We had the Elvis fight of the week last week in Connecticut. Elvis Figueroa stays undefeated, 13-0 now against Devon Lee, who was coming in at 11-8-1. That's kind of expected, I guess. Out in the MGM Grand there where the Haney fight happened, we had Junto Nakatani, 24-0, beating Andrew Maloney, 25-2 by knockout. Did you guys
see that knockout?
I did.
Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah,
God, yeah. I mean, that was a gunshot.
Yeah.
I'm obviously glad he's okay, and that's the one where because they wanted to stop it going into the 12th, and they didn't, and thankfully that he didn't get seriously injured because how much second guessing and guilt would there be if you let him go out for that 12th round and then something catastrophic happened?
And the thing is, he didn't seem like a power puncher that he needed a knockout going into the 12th round, and he'd shown no ability to get it. I mean, of course, the corner knows the fighter better than I do, but I mean, you'd have to really question. And you have a good point there. Yeah, they'd never forgive themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we also had another undefeated fighter staying undefeated, Raymond Muratalla. He got the TKO earlier, second round over Jeremiah Nakatila. It was Nakatani and Nakatila. How does that happen? 2 fighters starting with NAK for their last name on the same card. This randomly happens. NAKAT, actually, both of them. That's weird. Nakatila was 23-2 lightweight. And then we had Oscar Valdez beating Adam Lopez. Oscar 30-1, Adam Lopez 16-4. Oscar won by unanimous decision there. But Muratalla got interviewed by Bernardo Osuna from ESPN after the fight. And something peculiar happened. I don't know if a lot of people noticed this, but Raymond Muratalla, after his statement knockout, they're asking him, well, do you think you made a statement? And what does that say? And who do you want to call out? And all this bullshit. They're asking him all these questions. And he goes, you know what? I that is a statement, and I want the winner of the main event. So Bernardo Osuna proceeds to ask him, what makes you think you deserve to fight Devin Haney? And the main event hasn't happened yet. So you're assuming, as the ESPN analyst, that Devin Haney has already won the fight. What's up with that? Did he know something we didn't know, or was it just a Freudian slip, like innocent mistake? That was fishy to me too, especially in light where after the fight, Lomachenko just doesn't want to say shit about it. Like, was he told to keep his mouth shut too? Like, what the fuck is going on with this? This is ridiculous. But yeah, that stood out to me after the fight because a lot of times when people make mistakes, they're conscious of it right after they make it. They go back and they'll correct it. Even like especially analysts, where somebody else will correct them on the other side of it. But like nobody did that for him. It actually happened today on the news. I watched this lady confuse the two suspects in the murders there. The guy that killed himself, that Brian Laundrie dude who was freaking on the run forever. And then there's the dude that killed the people in Ohio. So they're both in the news. And she called the Ohio guy Brian Laundrie. And I was just like, all right, when's she going to correct herself? And when's the other guy going to try to correct her? Nope, nobody ever corrected her. So I was like, wow. But yeah, that usually doesn't happen. Usually, like somebody in the control room is like, hey, you got to fix that. You got to tell people that's wrong. But nobody fixed that for Bernardo. Bernardo didn't correct himself. It was just like that's how it's been written. That's how the script goes. Anyway, I thought that was funny. Not ha funny either. Oh man, we've been unboxing this entire show. But we still have to talk about upcoming fights. All right, what do we got? There's a lot of foreign names on my betting window card this week. When I looked at boxing tonight, I was like, geez, I don't know any of these dudes. Nobody. All right. We got a big one in Bangkok this weekend. Wisaksel Wangek, 51-6-1, fighting Komgrich Nantabek, who is 31-6. No titles there, though. And then we got Bournemouth, England fight here. Lawrence Oakley, 19-0, looking for win number 20 at cruiserweight, fighting Chris Billum-Smith, who's 17-1. That's for the WBO belt there at cruiserweight. And then you can have your eggs with your bacon on this next fight. Sam Eggington, 33-8, fighting Joe Pigford, who's 20-0. Eggington and Pigford. 20-0. Super welterweight.
I thought you were going to say the opponent would be named Bacon.
No. Pigford. Pig and eggs. Pig and eggs. Last time I bet on this guy as the underdog, he failed me, so I don't know if I'd do it again. But Lee Wood, 26-3, fighting Mauricio Lara, 26-2 in Manchester, UK. That's a big one. Another one, Darag Foley, 22-4 with one draw at super lightweight, fighting Jack Catterall, who's 26-1. The Wood Lara fights for the WBA World Featherweight title, by the way. And the Catterall Foley fight is for the WBA Intercontinental Super Lightweight title. Still love how the WWE announcers would say Intercontinental. Ultimate Warrior, when I used to watch them, that was funny. Intercontinental. WBA World Super Welterweight title on the line between Terry Harper and Ivana Habazin. Harper, number 3 at Super Welterweight. 13-1-1. Ivana is 21-4. All right. That's it for that one. Somebody's always got to go here in the United Kingdom on this one. In Belfast, Nick Ball, 17-0, fighting Ludumo Lamati, who's 21-0-1 for the WBC Silver Featherweight title. And we got IBF World Featherweight title. Luis Alberto Lopez, 27-2, fighting Michael Conlon, 18-1. And then Anthony Casase, who is 20-1, fighting Damian Wierzinski, who is 26-2 for the IBO World Super Featherweight title. And boy, these are some interesting names. Fantasy Springs Casino here in Indio, I believe, California. Minimum weights here. Minimum weight title on the line. I wonder how much money's changing hands over this way. Oscar Collazo. I don't know if he's related to Luis, but he is 6-0, fighting Melvin Jerusalem. It's 20-2. Jerusalem, just like the city. I've never seen that last name. But Melvin is 20-2 at minimum weight. So the WBO title. Seems like kind of a mismatch. Oscar's just got 6 fights to 22 for Jerusalem. And we got Alexis Roca, 22-1, fighting Anthony Young, who is 24-2 for the WBO NABO welterweight title. That seems good enough for a regular world title. Official world title, not NABO, whatever that is. John Ramirez, 11-0, fighting Fernando Diaz in the earlier action at super flyweight. Diaz 12-3-1, Ramirez 11-0. Then on Sunday, we have a pretty decent one from overseas. Looks like Germany or Sweden. I don't know. Can't tell what that flag is. Delphine Persoon, 47-3, fighting Bomi Ray Shin, who is 15-1-3 for the WBC Silver Super Featherweight title. And then we got somebody's 19's got to go here in France. Kevin Lele Sadjo, 19-0, fighting Sven Elbier, 19-1. The WBO Intercontinental Super Middleweight title there on Sunday. That's it for boxing. Everything's over the other side of the country, or the world here. UK this week. Big Vegas stuff. So we go to the UFC once again. I suck at betting on the UFC. Man, I did not think that the Angela Hill fight would go the distance, and I did not pick Mackenzie Dern by decision, and just did not think that was going to happen. It's 5 rounds. No, I don't think Angela Hill's going to do it, but she's a warrior. She got beat up pretty bad, but she went the distance, and Mackenzie's just that type of fighter. She's going to be more tactical than she is powerful. And the other thing was Angela Hill was a beast as far as not getting armbarred. She had the perfect defense. Anybody wants to know the defense on an armbar, you watch this fight. Angela Hill did everything she could possibly do, holding on to the arm with her other hand, and she would put it between her legs so that the girl couldn't pull it out from between her legs. Just put it on like a clamp. Just unbelievable defense there. She did get beat up a lot, but Mackenzie Dern is not a slugger, so she really didn't get that close to getting knocked out ever. But great show for Angela of Hart, for sure. I just did not think she was going to go that long in that fight. But it was good, a good entertaining fight. We had Anthony Hernandez. I didn't think he was going to win by TKO. Of course, he had like 1 TKO, and he wins by TKO. I had Shabazian possibly winning by TKO, and they went at it, but no. Anthony got the TKO in the third. And then Lupita Godinez over Emily Ducote. That was a unanimous decision win for Lupita. She did a pretty good job. Very tactical fight. And Joaquin Buckley over Andre Fiallo. That was a head kick TKO. I thought that one was going to go first round, so I had first round bets on each side for knockouts, but nope, second round. Diego Ferreira beating Michael Johnson by knockout punch. Did not see that one coming. Neither did Michael Johnson. He was out cold. Out. Oh, he just didn't know what happened when he woke up, kind of out. It happened in the second round, 1 minute and 50 seconds in. And then Vyacheslav Borshev just dismantled Maestate Heiser by TKO, second round, 2 minutes and 37 seconds in. He had a pretty difficult first round, but ended up just absolutely figuring out how to beat Maestate in the second. Carolina Kowalkiewicz over Vanessa Demopoulos by unanimous decision. That was pretty one-sided, of course. And Demopoulos was lucky to get through that one. Boy, came close a couple times to getting stopped. Gilbert Urbina, another guy I did not expect to win by TKO over Orion Kosuke. Kicking knees that decided that one. Rodrigo Nascimento over Ilir Latifi. That was a split decision win at heavyweight. You never expect a heavyweight fight to go to decision. Yes, they got decent records. Chase Hooper over Nick Fiore by unanimous decision there. Natalia Silva over Victoria Leonardo. That was first round TKO for Silva. Punches and head kick. Victoria Leonardo had some ridiculously high odds, so I threw a couple bets her way, thinking miracles do happen every day, but they did not happen for me that night. Themba Garimbo over Takashi Sato in the first fight. That was unanimous decision. All right, let's see what we got coming up. Good news on the Fertitta front today. I heard it was actually not today that it happened, but the Fertittas were looking to connect with the Oakland Athletics and bring them to Vegas. Well, not the Fertittas themselves would not bring them to Vegas, but they were going to come to Vegas. And the Fertittas were supposed to be the ones that were selling on the stadium land. And last I heard, that it was all sealed and done, And then now I hear Bally's and another group stepped in and circumvented that deal. Now they have the deal with Oakland Athletics, and they're going to build it at the site of the Tropicana Hotel, where it exists right now. I've never been in the Tropicana Hotel. I've lived out there for a couple of years, but never actually been inside it. But I've been around it. I've been around that neighborhood. I'm kind of finding that hard to believe. They're going to have a huge parking garage to support it. I used to always park at the Cosmopolitan because they have like one brand spanking new parking garages. They just actually sold that finally. The people who owned it when I went there. But man, Tropicana, right in the smack dab in the middle of town. It's gonna be crazy. Be a crazy place to play ball. Anyway, so this weekend we have something called Road to UFC Season 2, Shanghai Quarterfinals 1 from Shanghai, China. There's a bunch of Asian names on the card. No joke. They have a UFC Performance Institute over there. I did not know that. So we're going to have Keisuke Sasu, 11-2-1, fighting Sang-Won Kim, who's 9-5-1 in the featherweight main event. I don't know how this is going to be televised. It doesn't tell you on SureDog. Probably on ESPN Plus or something. At some ridiculous, crazy time because it's in China. Co-main event, Mark Climaco, 8-1 at flyweight, fighting Jung Hyun Lee, who's 3-0. We got Zayi, who's 22-4 at featherweight, fighting Giafifu Wuziazabiki, who is 29-11-1. Ray Tasuria at flyweight, 6-0 in the second fight of the night, fighting Ronald Stiahan, who is also undefeated at 7-0. Then you got Sanong Saklek Chuwatana, 9-4 at flyweight, fighting Niam Jargal Tumendembaral. It's 6-0. Yeah. This is name practice week, I guess, for me. And that's really it. There's no Bellator going on until June. Late June, too. Mid-June. PFL's off for a while. I guess that's what does it. See if we got anything in the news. Cycling, we gotta see. Updates. Apparently, I know I have read this. I haven't really read up on it in depth, but apparently the Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul fight is probably going to be a good idea to bet on Jake Paul, considering the intel that has come out of the training camp of Nate Diaz. Actually, I think there was some footage of him training boxing, and does not look good. Apparently, I haven't seen it myself, but I don't doubt it. No doubt at all. It's, the Stockton slap, that's not really how you punch in boxing. That's like the last thing you want to do in boxing is slap your punches. You get actually warned for it. So I don't know how that's going to translate for Nate Diaz if he doesn't fix it. Anyway. Tyson Fury talking about boxing. Doing an MMA fight with John Jones has been making the rounds, but it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Well, I would. The UFC never let it happen. I don't think Tyson's really going to do any of those fights. He just likes to talk about it. Let's see what else we got. Oh boy. Got raccoons knocking shit over outside. I got my own Rocky movie out here, Rocky Raccoon. Oh, geez. Charges dropped in Gervonta Davis assault case. Boxer escapes jail time. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if there was money involved in that. All right, well, I guess that's the latest stuff. I don't really have much for news. So, till next week, I guess we'll sign off.
All right, guys. Enjoy the fights.
Yes, sir. Got to go overseas to watch them in person this week. Adios.